budget bats. With no GXs and no Vs, it's not the deck that we deserve, but it's the deck that we need right now. Welcome back everyone to more from the Sableyes. I'm Mitch and today we're going to be taking a look at a budget Crobat list which contains no GX or V cards whatsoever. It's super cheap, easy to get a hold of, and the best part is it can actually win games, which is great. It's a pretty simple concept. We've got a couple of Crobats here. The severe poison Crobat from Unbroken Bonds for 3 energy, deals 60 damage, and then poisons your opponent. And every turn you put 4 damage counters on instead of 1. That's incredibly good, especially in combination with cards like Toxicroak. With more poison, it puts 2 damage counters instead of 1 during every Pokemon checkup phase. So for every Toxicroak, you get an extra point of damage. We've got 4/4 Toxicroak and a 4/4/3 Crobat line, and that is obviously quite a good setup, especially since the Golbat and the Crobat from the new Battle Styles set have drastic draw. Crobat, or uses discrete draw, sorry, my apologies, which draws 2 cards when you evolve it into play, and then Crobat with drastic draw draws 3 cards. So in combination, every time you're setting up a Crobat, you can get a couple of cards out of the Golbat, and you can use the Crobat as well to draw through. And that means we don't need to play cards like Crobat V, we don't need to play cards like the Dene GX. Suddenly, this deck's really cheap and easy to build. I genuinely think that this deck has some potential. I don't know if it is a top tier deck. In fact, I'm 99% sure that it's not, but it is incredibly fun, and like I mentioned, it's super easy to set up. Let's jump into some games and I'll show you how it's supposed to work. So I just realised whilst I was watching that last game back, the footage back, that we actually were really weirdly cropped. So you might have missed some of the information on that one. I'm sorry about that. Our start here is acceptable, not terrible, not great. We've got 2 Zubats in play, which is important. I'd say that's probably the most important thing for you to do with this deck, is get your Zubats in play early. It's almost like if you don't have access to Zubats in the early game, then you are not going to do well. Luckily for us, we have the brand new Level Ball in our hand, so we can grab Golbat assuredly next turn. Plus we have Piers, so we can find another dark Pokemon if we want. There's a whole bunch that we can do here. So let's Level Ball first. I like the idea of the Golbat to guarantee that we get it. Let's attach a Capture Energy as well. We're going to grab, I think, Croagunk. Zubat's actually better, I think, because we can go for the Croagunk off of the Piers. Let's just draw with Golbat anyway, because I think Croagunk is important. Well, let's go for the Level Ball. Now we can get the Croagunk, right? I think that's fine. Yeah. Or maybe the Golbat though, because we can Golbat again. Let's just draw more cards. I don't know what's going on here, but let's just draw more cards. 2 Toxicroak in hand now. I think we do need to Piers for a Croagunk. I think we've taken a little bit too long to grab him, so let's grab the Croagunk. We'll grab a Twin Energy as well. Unfortunately, our Snorlax in the active is not going to be doing too much for us here, because we've got too many cards in our hand. But you know what? I'm okay with that. Let's just pass. Our opponent's having a slow time. They've not got an attacker set up yet. Maybe we have done enough. Maybe we've done enough to try and survive this onslaught from our opponent. A scoop up net for them means that we are likely to see something happening. Whether it's a good thing for them or not is another question. They're going to scoop the Jirachi up. There's a giant half. Oh my goodness, they're playing very quickly here. They've got a lot of stuff to do. Maybe they have an attacker and a welder. They retreat into Jirachi. Maybe they're looking for an attacker on which to welder. Stellar Wish here. For us, on our side of the field, we need a Crobat. We need one quick smart. We can't grab it with Piers, unfortunately. We may need to Marnie into it unless we top deck something good. They've passed again. Alright, if ever we were to win a game against the meta deck, now is the time. Let's use Golbat on the bench and get the extra cards there. Both of those are completely useless to me. We might Piers here though. I think we're going for the Crobat. We don't need any extra energy. Let's throw this one down. We're going to need to put it on a Crobat, on a Golbat that's got energy on it, which is unfortunate but acceptable. There is the good Crobat for us. So now we can get ourselves going. We can go into our Golbat here, scoop up the Snorlax, evolve into Crobat. They won't be able to damage us next turn. We can attach a twin. We can evolve a Toxicroak as well, I think. I think we actually need to. No, we don't need to, but I think Jirachi's got Psychic Resistance there, I think. Let's discard this Snorlax. We don't need him anymore. And then we can Severe Poison, which will get the knockout on the Jirachi, thanks to the 60 extra damage that we're dealing with Poison from Toxicroak. Very, very nice. Alright. Well, we're in a good spot here in the sense that our opponent is playing a Welder deck. They cannot attack anything on the bench unless they use Cramorant. Right? So they can't Gust us because they're going to play Welder. So the question becomes, is there a Cramorant or is it just Reshizard? And if it's just Reshizard, oh my goodness, we could be in for a fun time here. There's the Welder onto the Reshizard. Okay. I'm actually very, very bullish about our chances in this game now. As weird as it sounds, I think we can get a win over Tempozard with the ultimate meme that is Crobat. I don't know if that is if that's what's gonna happen, but we can definitely give it a go. In fact, I think this is a red hot shot. And to be honest, what I should do, okay. So you're watching this video. This is the first game that you're seeing. Earlier in this video, I said something about the last video being cropped awkwardly. And you know what? The video that you're about to watch, like the game that's after this one, because I'm keeping this in, because we're going to win this one, the game that's after this one has some weird cropping issues. Alright? I won't mention it, because I assumed that this game would go after the first one, but you know what? It didn't. And they're using Double Blaze GX! Gotta read the card. Big hearts for them. That's a shame. Into the Toxicroak. Okay, let's find another Zubat. We'll get rid of the Mew. Another Zubat into play. I would like, I think, to attach the twin to Golbat. Although, to be fair, do I do anything else? I could evolve into another Crobat with Severe Poison. I think it's smarter to just Marnie. Let's just Marnie. We've found a boss, which is really, really good. So we're going to be dealing 140 damage here with the poison off of Severe Poison. So 60 plus 80. If they retreat, then they are one shot away from being knocked out by our Crobat. So if they retreat to another attacker and try and get around the poison, then we boss them next turn and Severe Poison them for the knockout. If they knock out a Toxicroak, then we won't be able to knock them out, but I don't think we're in as bad a position. If we lose the Crobats, it's obviously worse. There's the switch. So they're going around, they're trying to avoid our poison knocking them out, and they're going to use a Crobat of their own here. I don't know why you'd play that Crobat. Why would you play Crobat V when you could play all of the other Crobats in the game? I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense to me. I am a little bit worried though about a potential cram. If the cram comes up here and puts some pressure on, we could be in a bit of strife. Especially if they knock out that Golbat with the twin energy on it. That would be unfortunate. There is the Cramorant. Oh, I don't like this. And there's the Welder. So if they have a switch mechanic and a couple of energy, they will be able to get the knockout on anything that they want here. And it looks like that's what they're going to do. They're going to Welder onto the Cram. Now, if I'm them, I'm knocking out the Golbat, I think. Because the Golbat poses the biggest threat. It can turn into something that cannot be killed for a turn. So I think that's the smart play. They're going to Spit Shot, and yes, they go for the Golbat. Unfortunate, but we can take prizes on a Reshizard here. We can boss this Reshiram Charizard out into the active and knock it out with Severe Poison. Plus, we get to draw some cards with Golbat. I think that's right. Actually, let's capture energy to it first and play down a Croagunk, just so we're thinning out of the deck a little bit more. We can draw some cards with Golbat. We've got a Scoop Up now, which is actually pretty pretty solid. I don't know if we want to use it on anything in particular. I will grab the Crobat though, just because then next turn I've got a couple of draw options. And then let's level ball. There's nothing to be level balled for. Let's get this Reshi. Let's kill it. Let's get rid of it. Severe Poison, 60 plus 80 is 140 damage. That's a big knockout for us. We are now one knockout away from winning the game. And with the Toxicroak in our hand, like on the bench, that one that we use just to thin, if we find another Toxicroak, we can potentially take a knockout on a Dedenne next turn. Which is insane to me. That is genuinely insane to me. There's the Mewtwo, so they're going to put a Welder back on top of the deck. They are running out of cards. Quick smart here. They need to take 5 more knockouts. And their only attacker is Cramoran. 5 more knockouts, guys. Goodness me. I don't even know if they've got enough time to do that. Here comes another Reshizard. Are they weldering to that or the Cram? They're weldering to the Reshi. So they've got 4 cards left in deck. And we have an unbelievable board state. I think that their slow start combined with our deck's potent attackers is going to lead to a victory here. I think this is a victory. Let's Golbat. We're going to draw a couple of cards here. We've got Evo Incense as well. We didn't find a boss. That's okay. We'll grab ourselves the Crobat with Severe Poison. Actually, no, let's grab the Toxicroak because that's more important because we've got the Crobat in hand. Don't do a silly thing, Mitch. You don't need to. Let's Piers. Just a bit of a thin. Sounds good. We'll grab the Twin. We're gonna set up a Golbat on the bench. We can do a bit of a fancy play here. Let's quick ball away the Marnie, and let's just have a look. There is one boss left. I mean, we could go for the Crobat. It's got to be the other one, right? We've got to put the other one down just to be safe. That seems pretty good, and then we can take a knockout. We don't even need to. Our opponent decides that is enough for them. Well, I never. We beat Reshizard with Crobat. What a deck. Alrighty, we've got ourselves a decent start here. We can do a whole bunch of things, but most importantly, we can find a Zubat early. I think it's smart here to just go for the Zubat and then capture onto the Zubat and try and get another one. That's probably the best way to go. You can set that up and then Gormandize, draw a few cards. I will say this much, ladies and gentlemen. We have struggled a little bit with games. Trying to get a good one. It has been a little bit awkward. But in saying that, there is some potential. Looks like we're playing up against a spread deck here, which is going to be very, very interesting. We will wait and see how this one pans out. They're going to be going for greens here. Probably trying to find some of those energy that are required for Noivern to get its attack off. I think it's 1 energy to get an attack off with Noivern, but I'm not entirely sure. It looks like going for Switch and a Greens Exploration. I have no idea what I'm facing off against here, but the key is that I may be able to get my Crobats to work here. There's the Noivern. Boom Burst deals 20 to everything. ADP. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to do 20 damage to everything on the bench, set up a bunch of knockouts, and then try and take extra prizes thanks to the ADP's GX attack. That is pretty strong. Now, our hand, unless we top deck into something good, is actually very poor. We at least have another Zubat, we have Energy, we have Toxicroak, but we don't have a Golbat, sorry. So we need to draw into that. We may be just Gormandizing for a couple of cards here. And that's this deck's biggest weakness. Oh, talk about the big weakness. We've got the Evo Incense here. We can just grab ourselves a Golbat. Perfect. This is the biggest weakness, is you have to manually evolve into a stage 2, which is quite slow, especially when you don't draw any of them. Let's evolve into Toxicroak. I think I quick ball away one of these quick balls, grab another Croagunk, I think is fine. Having lots of Crobats is good. We can attach the Twin to Golbat and then Gormandize. We want a switch mechanic and preferably another Golbat. We don't have a switch mechanic, but we do have the Golbat. We've actually got 2 Golbats in hand, so we can draw 4 cards next turn to try and get us into a Crobat attacking, which will be very, very nice. Very excited by that. In all likelihood, our opponent is going to try and use Altered Creation here to try and get their attacks doing more damage. But I think we might have enough time to set up our board state. I think we might be able to do something. This might be the game, ladies and gents. We may get here. They're going for greens. They searched that out last turn. And what is it that they're going to grab? What do they grab? Thinking. We're thinking. We're thinking. Big thinks. We're having a big think here. Marnie and Telescopic Sight. Perfectly reasonable cards. The Telescopic Sight will just get attached to the Noivern. And then the Marnie will obviously be played next turn. So I need to make the most out of my draw whilst I have it. So I think we're going to be trying to draw with Golbat a couple of times here. And then we've obviously got our attacking Crobats as well. Let's find ourselves another Golbat. We want to get as much draw as we can. A Scoop Up Net would be fantastic. So let's draw 2 cards. There's a Scoop Up Net. That's really, really good. Okay, now we can Golbat again. Draw a couple more cards. We can play down the Dust Island. We can scoop up the Snorlax in the active. Promote the Golbat. We can play the Zubat, which we've drawn into down. We can play the Crobat. And this Crobat Sound Veil means that our opponent cannot do damage to us next turn, which is incredibly good. So our Crobat is invulnerable. Is that the word? Invulnerable until next turn. We'll grab the Triple Acceleration and the Toxicroak just in case something goes wrong. And now we should be able to Severe Poison for 60, 40 damage from the Severe Poison's effect, and then another 40 from Toxicroak. Bang. Whew. Alright. It's all happening. We've been crushing hammered. That's unfortunate. They've top decked into that. But we have... Oh, of course, they've got money. I was about to say, but we have energy in hand. Doesn't matter. It's being shuffled away. Unfortunate. Piers is very strong, though. And in this deck, it's actually really, really good, right? So Piers in this deck can grab us Crobat or Golbat to draw cards. Plus, it gets us an energy, and that's what we need. Right, so we're in a very, very strong spot. They can Ultimate Ray, but they don't deal damage. I don't even know if they're allowed to search for the energy. I presume that they are. But our opponent would be very upset with that. There's the energy search. So no knockout on the Crobat. They take another 80 damage. And next turn we're going to take 3 prizes with Crobat, regardless of whether we find energy or not. I think I do want to attack, though, just to say that I've done it. Let's grab the Crobat. I'm going to grab a triple. Hang on. I've got a capture energy on there already. I should probably grab a twin. That seems like a better choice. And you can see, you'll see here, this is one of the good things about this deck, right? I can grab that Crobat, draw 3 cards, right? So we've got 3. Then I can scoop up the Crobat that I've just played down. I can play the Zubat back down. I can play the Golbat, right? Draw 2 more cards. Perfect. 2 more cards. And then I can play the Crobat again and draw 3 more cards. So that turn I just drew, what, 8 cards? Just attaching a bunch of... Just one scoop up net into 8 cards is very, very strong. I like that quite a lot. Let's grab a Croagunk with the Level Ball. We'll just thin out as best as I can. And then we can Severe Poison, I think. For the knockout, there's probably an argument to say that I should have attached an energy to the bench and just let the poison knock it out, but you know what? We're here to attack, right? So let's take some knockouts whilst we can. 60 damage takes the knockout, and we get 3 prizes from our opponent, and I think we're going to be in a really, really strong position here because we know that our opponent is trying to use spread moves, which means that we've got a really, really strong chance to just attack with the Crobat that's in the active until eventually we win the game. So I'm feeling pretty good about this, especially since we've got a scoop up net in hand, so we can draw even more cards if we want to, or we can just set up another Golbat, set up another Crobat with Sound Veil and Severe Poison and go from there. So very, very strong. It does take a little bit of time, but if you're a newer player, this deck is an incredibly good starting point because it's got no expensive cards in it, right? It might be difficult to find the Severe Poison Crobats, I will say that much, just because they're an old holo rare, and old holo rares tend to just be awkward to find because no one really sees any value in them. But the rest of the cards, I will say this much, the rest of the cards are mostly standard legal into the future, and Toxicroak and the Golbat Crobat line is incredibly good. Alright, I don't think there's that much more that we realistically need to do here. We can level ball, just thin our deck out some more, and why don't we just go for a big Crobat play here and just draw some more cards. Let's scoop up the Crobat. We're here to see how the deck works. We'll play the Zubat down. We'll play the Golbat. Actually, we should do some more thinning first. Let's grab some Crobats out of the deck. See, this is brilliant here. We can grab both of our Crobats with Severe Poison. There's only one energy left in the deck, but that's not a problem because we've got a big old handful of them. Let's draw 2 with Golbat, and then we can draw 3 with the Crobat. If we want to. We don't even need to, really. Do we want to just attach? I think we attach to this Golbat for next turn, and then we can just draw some more with Crobat. Get ourselves 3 more cards. We've got 6 cards left in deck, so we probably don't do this anymore. But yeah, Severe Poison here, 60 damage to the active, plus 80 with Poison, thanks to the Toxicroaks. Gonna get ourselves a knockout, and our opponent has a very, very weak board state, whilst ours is incredibly strong. And you can see just how easy it is to draw a ton of cards. That turn, we drew 6 cards, right? Just rocketed through our deck to make sure that we've got everything that we need. And now we go on to win this game, unless something crazy happens, which it could. I have seen crazy things happen before, but I suspect that we are in a very strong winning position. Crushing Hammer would be tedious to a man that doesn't have 7 special energy in his hand already. Heads, no worries. Go again, mate. Knock off the other energy as well. Pokemon. Getting rid of Truddigan. How far down am I on the ladder at the moment? Good grief. Here's the Noivern, so he's going to get the attack off, but I don't think there's that much more coming from him. He attacks, he can Boom Burst. Boom Burst will achieve nothing really, and then we can just Severe Poison and win the game from here. So you can see, this is a really solid strategy. The problem is it's slow off of the mark, so if you're playing against something that's a little bit more meta, they may be able to get on top of you. So, you know, you win some, you lose some, but this one, we managed to win. So there we have it. We tick Golbat off of the... I almost said we tick Crobat off. No, but we tick Golbat off of the list for the OG 150 challenge. Cruising along with this one now. I'm excited because a lot of the one prize decks from Battle Styles help me tick off cards that would have otherwise been quite difficult. We didn't quite reach the light goal for a bunch of one prizes in a row, so I'm not going to do it this time, but if we get... I'll knock it down to 400, I think. If we can get 400 likes on this video, then I will do another one prize a deck in the next one. In the meantime, thank you very much to everyone who has supported me. If you're a person who's watching to the end, you might like to become a member of the channel. There's a link down below in the description, as well as the deck list which you can play along with. Thank you to the Dadbod and Azazel, as always, for your generous contributions. Fernando, Yolo, Diego, Stephen, Agent Abel, you guys are also very, very much appreciated for your support, as well as all of the other Mega Sableyes over here. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along, and I'll see you next time for more from the Sableyes. Bye.